I joined because I felt that we belonged in the war, and I put in my application to a commission, a British commission that was in Dallas, that was, looking for recruits. I was a pilot and thought that I could win the war.
Where did you hear about it initially? Where did you hear that they were taking people in to train in Canada?
It was a well-known fact, and I guess I did some research too. I, wanted to find out how you got in. And,
what did your parents think of you joining the RCAF?
Well, my father was dead, and my mother was quite encouraging. She knew that how I felt, and we were a Jewish family, and knew that the Jews were being so badly mistreated that even the older citizens, approved of their young men going to war. I remember that they sent us to Moncton, New Brunswick, and from there, that was just sort of an organizational station at the moment, and we went to Sydney, Nova Scotia for our primary, and then took more advanced training at Moncton, and from there to St. John's, New Brunswick, where we had our operational training and where we crewed up with this Ray Town that I spent the next 4 years with.
Do you recall, how were you treated by the Canadians in Canada when you discovered you were an American training in the Canadian Air Force? Do you recall about how they...
I think the fact that I was a Texan made more difference than the fact I was USA.
In what respect?
But I was treated with high regard.
Do you recall what kind of comments they made about the Texan being up in Canada?
Well, no, I know that my response to it is when they would ask me if I was from Texas, when I claimed to be Tex, I said, no, I was from Louisiana, but I just didn't want to be called Louise.
You would have worn a USA shoulder flash, would you?
Yes.
And so people would recognize that, and would you get any comments about that?
Would, and elderly folks would nod their head and say thank you.
Is that right?
We were appreciated, yes.
Yeah. And then when you got overseas, what was the feeling with the RAF when they discovered you're an American RCAF?
Pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same.
That the RAF was made up of New Zealand Air Force, Australian Air Force, and Canadian Air Force, and American Air Force.
So you felt you were all fighting for the same cause. Nationality really wasn't an issue.
There was. I don't remember there ever being a bubble.
And when you were in England, how did you find the people when they discovered you were an American and in the RCF? How were they?
Grateful.
What kind of comments? Do you recall what kind of comments you got from them? Or?
It would just be a matter of thank you, we appreciate your being here.
And you got that quite often, did you?
Quite a bit.
Is that right? So that make you feel like you were doing something worthwhile.
And I found the people very warm, friendly, and stoic. There isn't a better adjective. After we got some kind of control of the air over Britain, we used to work for 7 weeks and then get a week off. And we'd go to the Red Cross Club in London. And there, we would meet all of the American airmen in British service, because they called it the Eagle Club.
Yeah.
And it was actually sponsored by the American Red Cross for Americans in the British service.
And what was the discussion there when you'd go there? What was the discussion amongst Americans? Anything?
Oh, just discussing our work, what we were doing, and
at that time, were the Eagle Squadron bunch, were they getting all the coverage and attention? And at that time,
they were getting considerable.
And what did you think of that?
Well, I thought they deserved it.
But you fellas deserved it too. What kind?
Well, we got the satisfaction of knowing what we're doing. So much of what we were doing wasn't even known.
So they were, in a sense, a publicity tool. While they were an operational unit, but they were a publicity tool more so.
Yes, and then the nature of their work was more attention commanding.
And when you just talked to these fellas, the Eagle Squadron fellas, how did they feel about all this attention?
I think most of them just shrugged it off. These fellows that volunteered for that kind of service weren't interested in self-acclamation. When the United States went to war, then I felt that I would like to serve my country.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of our work, I had a navigator that was just outstanding, and because of his rather unusual talent, we were sort of called on for some specialty work, and they had us briefed for the invasion. So even though I changed uniforms, I stayed with my British squadron till after D-Day. And then I joined an American squadron because I wanted to be a night fighter pilot, and I joined a night fighter squadron that had just arrived in England. And they decided that they needed a night reconnaissance squadron, and that's what they made out of this 155th American squadron that I joined.
Now, when you transferred over, was there any pressure to transfer over, or was it
none whatsoever? And I was favorably received and favorably dismissed.